I mean, yeah, Vegas is totally a magical, weird place. I mean, I always wondered that about like,
brings out some demons in people for sure.
Oh,
though. It's funny, man.
Yeah. Well, that's why I always wondered about like people who actually live there, because it's like nobody can live that life, 24/7, 365.
I will say it has been a great practice to like learn to say no to so much stuff now. It's like easier to say no to things, whether it's like, drinking or partying or even like going out. Cause like, it's hard to get FOMO here.
Right.
Cause you're like, oh, there's something tomorrow too,
Yeah. Well, it's even the same event might be happening 2 days later. It's like, oh, I didn't see this person play. Oh, he'll be here again in 3 days.
I'll be here next week.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, it's pretty funny. It was crazy because like, that's the one thing I miss about living in LA is like all my friends, I'm like,
yeah,
the city's fun. And like, there's cool things to like, check out and like food to eat and stuff and like, experience to be had. But the thing I miss the most is like my friends, but they end up in Vegas like at least one of my friends from LA is here like once or twice a month. I'm like, oh
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
it's all good.
Yeah, and then it's sometimes I don't know. So there is something to that like absence makes the heart grow fonder kind of thing too.
Oh yeah, totally.
Where like then when you do get to see him, it's like it's so fun, it's so exciting,
Yeah, this is like a 30-minute flight to LA or something.
Well, that too, easy. Right?
Yeah. So it's like I find myself back fairly often, at least for like a week, and I still get like all the work I need to,
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, I'm gonna knock out like all this stuff, whether it's like hanging out or, studio work or shoots or something. Like you knock it out in like 4 or 5 days.
Yeah.
So it's cool. Like I try to do that at least like either once a month or like once every other month, like bi-monthly.
Yeah, that's
just to get out there and get some stuff done.
Good,
but it
man.
is nice being here because there's a lot of work too. So
yeah, of course, man. I'm sure you can like tune out a little easier and kind of focus in a little easier. Probably.
Less pressure out here, I think. Because I don't know. LA just has a spirit of like go get them real hard.
Yeah,
which I love. And it's cool.
Yeah, it is cool, but it is. You're right. It's one of those things where it's like, at least for me, I'm better about it these days. But you can definitely get that feeling of, I'm not doing enough when you're out in LA. Like,
because everyone in LA is doing cool stuff. And it's not like to say that it's competitive or anything, but it's inspiring to see what people are doing. And you're like, I want to be a part of this, or I want to do something similar, or I want to keep going. You meet all those people and you're just like, wow, everyone's doing really cool stuff.
Yeah, totally. Although, maybe I don't know why I'm just playing devil's advocate with you the whole time, but but it's like the other part of that is I think then it's also easier to get knocked off course a little bit because you see what everyone else is doing and you're like, oh, should I be doing that?
Exactly. No, yeah. Again, it comes with that pressure. It's a little draining, but no, I still feel like that amount of pressure that like kind of like weight on your shoulders of like you gotta do quick or you gotta keep going and do fast kind of slowed down here in Vegas.
That's man, that's good.
Not to say the opportunities have gone away or drifted or like things have slowed down or anything, but it's like I don't have that like I gotta do it like right now, or I have to be like competitive with myself to a sense where it's like I have to do almost too much,
yeah,
just
man.
to like do it.
Well, and we haven't talked about this, so I don't actually know, but I mean, in the last couple years, I feel like you have been kind of in a cocoon in a little bit, right?
Yeah, no, let's see. I was really off my rocker, I would say around like 2019, like right before pandemic. I talked about it a little bit and don't want to get like too dark about it because there's a lot of good things happening since.
Yeah.
But I had an incident where I had to be hospitalized. I think in like November. I turned myself in because I was just having like these terrible thoughts, and I knew like if I didn't do something about it, like if I didn't make an executive decision, it would have ended the other way.
Yeah.
So I talked to my parents. I'm like, I gotta go to like the hospital and like a mental like something. I just had to tell them like what was going on. So I was like hospital. I was like locked up for like, I would say like a week maybe. And then after that, like the one thing I knew I needed was time.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, that's one thing I never gave myself. Like I probably traveled nonstop for like 7 years. I maybe took 2 vacations that whole time.
Dude.
So like, I never, cause it felt like, I love what I do. So it never felt like I needed a break.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, man, I'm so glad you took that step. I'm so glad you were aware enough to do it, because not everybody is. And it's a hard thing to do, right? Because I think all of us can relate to that feeling of like, oh, it's tough right now, but I'll just kind of knuckle through it and whatever. And actually realizing that like, oh no, this might be to the point where I need outside help. That's, not everybody would take that step, man. I'm really glad you did.
I mean, it really hurt to look my mother in the face and be like, I might do it. Like, I really might, and that doesn't feel good, and it's like, and then you see like the pain. I felt the pain immediately as soon as I like explained myself.
Of course.
And I knew that's when I had to do something. I was like, okay, I will see the effects of this already if I do something.
Well, like, isn't that funny, man? That so often the things we can't always fully conceptualize or come to terms with, the second you see it reflected in somebody else, it's crystal clear.
Because you're so in your own head. You're so like tunnel vision sometimes. You're like, oh, that you made that choice already sometimes. And you're like, oh, who cares,
Right.
But then people do care.
It's of course, okay, man. Of course.
So after that, it gave me some time to reflect, obviously, being locked up and like, what do you do, And like I said, I needed time. So I had like 7 years of touring. A lot has happened since then for me emotionally and like just physically, like just draining. Like I was going to China about like 5 times a year, which is a lot on top of touring the US, on top of Europe, like that's where I was, and it was great. I'm grateful for my blessings and like the opportunities that have come for me from music. It's pretty nuts. But yeah, what I wanted was time to like really soak up what has happened those couple of years, because I just kept going. I never really thought about too much. So with that, you be careful what you wish for, because then the pandemic happens. You're like, you can't leave your house for 2 years now, baby. It's like, all right, well, I didn't need time, just not this kind. But all right,
the universe was like, I got you, buddy.
yeah. Sure, whatever you say. That happened, and like for many people, I think we're in a situation like that. It's just life was too fast.
Yeah.
The first year was like pandemic, like what's gonna happen. I wasn't really like focused on like getting better. I was like focused on like being alive and not dying from a virus,
day-to-day shit. Yeah.
Yeah. And then last year, 2021, right? I don't know what year it is anymore.
Me neither, man. But yeah, it's right. 2021's already the past.
Sure, I know. So yeah. That doesn't even feel right. I was like, wait.
Yeah. But I had more shit I wanted to do. Yeah.
I know, right? That's what this year's for. That's exactly like, basically, it's weird to think about it, but it's like, I didn't like procrastinate on finishing all the music that I needed to, but it wasn't right. It just wasn't like the music wasn't right. My headspace wasn't right. I didn't have an idea like of what I wanted to do next. I wasn't fine-tuned, and like I wasn't gonna push out music that wasn't that, It didn't mean I stopped making music as far as like overall.
Oh,
like,
I'm sure.
I made a trap EP in 2020. I did a bunch of cool mixes, a bunch of streams. I have a bunch of collabs I've been working on since. A bunch of cool remix opportunities. I've done stuff with like Rico Nasty and like some other people like 100 Gex and that kind of stuff.
Wait, what did you do with 100 Gex?
It was an iPhone remix I did with it was Rico Nasty and Dylan Brady from 100 Gex. And I did was it Roll and Serpent and a couple other remixes and like fun stuff and stuff with Quicks, Yeah. I've been making like cool trap stuff and like club stuff and working on new projects in the meantime, because I didn't want to like wait for this album to be perfect that I've been working on for like 2-3 years now.
Right.
It's been my first album came out 2018. It's 2022. Yeah.
Which was like 4 or 5 years. Weirdly, we did the podcast the first time right before the first album came out. Yeah.
Here we are.
I know, dude.
You want to hear something funny? 6 a.m. or 5 a.m. this morning is the time I sent in all the finals. So I'll make sure I'll send you those.
Oh, dude.
So yeah, we're ready to go, man. It should be out soon.
It's a beautiful thing, man. And
yeah, I haven't talked too much about like the title name or anything or a little bit of the details, but yeah.
Well, I mean, by the time
you're the guy I want to talk to, man.
Dude, absolutely. And by the time people hear this, I think either the album's going to be out or it's going to be like dropping in the next week or whatever.
Yeah, there'll be probably an announcement by the time this goes up. So
yeah, that for sure. Man, it's exciting, man. I mean, so God, there's so much to talk about because I was skimming through our first podcast this morning at the gym just to like try and refresh myself on what we were talking about. And it's crazy that we started off talking about, you know, you taking some time off and all that, which was not my plan, but that's almost how we started off the first time too, where I don't remember what was going on, but you had like a month off and you were talking about how that was the longest time you'd had off in years. And you're like, oh, all this time. And now we're talking about, you know, the pandemic and a year off and all that.
Having time off. Yeah. Yeah. I think that month off was like the longest really I had since then. And even then I was finishing so much stuff. Like I was still working. Like I was just home. There's a difference.
Right.
It wasn't off. It was just
only difference.
Doing it at home. Yeah. It was, you know.
Yeah. And it's...
I had a skewed sense of like time off. You know, I didn't really.
Of course. Yeah, man. I think all of us have a different idea of what time off is now.
Fair. Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, I don't know, man. The way shit like kind of cycles back and forth. And let me say, by the way, this doesn't have anything to do with anything, but when the day we did record that first podcast is like, I have such fond memories. That's like one of my favorite memories
Tokyo,
of recording.
I remember.
Yeah, man, because we spent the whole day together. We recorded, we stopped recording because Jenks came over. We started again. We like polished off a bottle of wine. We went out to dinner. It was like this whole day, which is almost never my experience doing this podcast. It was just like a great time, man. I have great memories of that day.
I'm glad, man. I consider you a friend, dude.
Yeah, like, I feel the same way, man.
I always have. And it's like been nice to watch like where our journeys have taken us and like to lead us back to even now, like years later, to still talk about what we love to do. And like,
that's what it's all about, man. And that's, it's a beautiful thing. And I think of you exactly the same way, man. I mean, it's funny.
I appreciate it, man.
We're hitting these same notes. You said in the last one we did, you were like, like friends don't need to talk every day necessarily. Like if you know you're friends with somebody, you can kind of pick it back up.
Fair.
And which I agree with. And this is another thing I was thinking about, and another difference between maybe then and now. I had Slushy on the podcast recently. I was talking to him about this too.
I was just texting him.
He's the best, man. Such a nice dude.
I love it.
Yeah, such a great guy. And we were talking about kind of that first wave of when like him and you and Jaws and everybody were kind of coming up around the same time, and everyone was catching some hype, and it was kind of this squad feeling, this crew feeling, where even if it wasn't intentional, I think from the outside, just as like a fan watching, it's like, oh, this is like this is a movement, you know?
Yeah, it was very organic. You know, we all met like pretty naturally. I think a lot of it had to do with my guy Borgor. Really, I think we all met through him.
Really,
to be honest. Yeah, I met Sam Jaws on the Bygor tour.
Oh wow.
As well as .com, you know,
right?
Who we know now.
Yeah, yeah, he's off doing something. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. My friend. So, him, Slushy, like we all met vicariously through Borgor and like the Bygor team, who like all the people that were originally from that camp end up still like all within the same camp. Like it's so cool.
Yeah, and everybody, maybe some people end up, switching teams or whatever. But it does sort of feel like what you were just saying. Like it's so cool for me to see where everybody started a few years ago to where everybody ends up now. And for the most part, everybody's
we're all still friends, man.
Yeah, like, still friends, of course, and still doing it. I don't know, man. It's interesting, but I think at a certain point, I was talking to Slushy about this, and I don't know if you feel the same way, but at a certain point, then it felt like, okay, well, everybody kind of has their own vision for what they're trying to do individually. And so then now that we all kind of came up and we're here, what do I do to stand out, or what do I do to really make people see? Yeah, fine tune. Like, did you have that experience?
Yeah, and I had like that whole conflict with myself. Like, obviously, like I come from like a more EDM trap, like bass heavy background. As far as like Ookay is, maybe not me as a person. Like I actually started with house music,
right?
Big room house and Dutch house. Like that was my stuff. I was like, yeah, let's go, Moombahton, run it. Yeah. That's my jam right now,
Yeah, man.
And then obviously you hear stuff like Harlem Shake and like the Foster Damas stuff that was coming out at the time, and like I was like, oh, I got to be a part of this. This is sick. And like coming from that world to what I am now, which is like, I'm singing, I wear a jumpsuit, I have like choreography and backup dancers, and I'm playing all the instruments and the guitar. To see it change like that so quick, well, not quick, I would say it's been like, a couple of years, but it's such a drastic change, I guess.
Yeah.
It's been like something that I've learned to balance, because there's still fans and there's still people that listen to me that are like, yo, where's the trap stuff? Or like, where's the heavy club music? And I'm like, I'm still making it, thankfully, like I got you. Like there's no sense of like I've abandoned anything. Like I don't want people to think that, hey man, I'm doing this new project, I've abandoned all hope on, going back to bass music, or, even DJing, like or making cool edits or making fun flips and remixes and like doing cool stuff like that.
And it all still sounds like you too. Like I feel like which is not always the case when somebody tries out a new sound or expands what they're doing. Like I can hear, I don't know, it's like the same perspective behind the heavy trap stuff and also behind the like super, light pop stuff. Like there's still, I don't know, I feel like it's something about, I don't know if you ascribe this to anything, but to me, maybe I'm not going to say this the right way, but it's like, I feel like you end up with these like these simple ideas that then have these unexpected juxtapositions in them. You know what I mean? Where it's like maybe like a hooky melodic idea or like a short little phrase, but then the way you sort of build a track around it is so different from, I think, most people.
I mean, I don't think about that too much in the sense of like, oh, this has to sound like a specific style. Like definitely I try not to build a border between what I've done in the past and what I'm doing now. I try not to like, it's okay for me to look back and see like, oh, I liked what I've done in the past, and like, how do I like make this better? You know what I mean? Some people just like keep going.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I think it's good to reflect a little bit. And I think I did that with my first album leading into this one, and like the new music. And as far as like making new, and also it's like, I keep up very, very well with what's going on in like the SoundCloud community still, what's going on in like Audius. Discord has been like a huge tool for like a bunch of DJs, and like there's like edit Discords where people are making all these flips and like cool little tracks that they're posting. And it's like, it's nice to see what like the young DJ producer, like music listeners like wants to make and is or listening to at the time. And I use those to my advantage. Is like, okay, how do I keep things fresh, but still like with my own personality attached to it? Or like translate what I'm doing now, or my feelings or what I write about to something that's people would want to like really engage with, or even like flip even.
No, that makes sense, man. I think that's a good tip.
And like the live music album, or like what I'm doing for my album where I'm like singing more, I keep it in the mind. It's like, oh, I would want someone to remix this later. Like that's kind of where my head's at. Like when I make some of this music, not all of it, but there's some songs that I'm like very special to me. And it's like, this is just for, this passion project.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I guess, I haven't had any fights with myself about like what things should sound like, or try to, meet in the middle with something. I really just kind of like let it go.
That's good, man. Well, how was it? I mean, I've heard a couple of the singles, the ones you've put out.
I'm about to like literally text you the masters. I finished it today.
No, dude. I mean, I'm excited to hear the whole thing. But
dude.
But I wanted to ask you, about the stuff you've already put out too.
Right.
Like the one that was interesting to me, and talking about, how you keep it your own sound, was the rare collab you did with Flux Pavilion and Elohim. Which again, when you're working with other people and collaborate, I think that still ended up sounding like it fits with your project. You know what I mean? What's the process when you're collaborating with other people?
I mean, that was kind of the case with Flux. I mean, from my end of the story might be different than his end of the story from how it happened. But I do remember being in London. I mean, I think we all know that he did like my Thief remix. But he actually is like pulled me aside. He's like, man, I wish I made that song, dude. Like, straight up. He's like, dude, that's like, that song's perfect. Like, I don't know. And he told, who is it? Jenks, actually. He told my DM when we were in London, I was like, I think I just finished like 4 shows straight, like 2 countries, something like that, like ridiculous. And there was an after party and I'm like, I can't make it. I'm sorry. Like, I'm going to pass out. It was like a day festival into like an all night in London. I'm like, I can't right now. I wish I could now that I think about it. But at the time I physically couldn't do it. I was like, I'm flushed. But I remember Jenks came back from that night. He's like, yo, Flux Pavilion was at the party. And he like was talking about you, saying like how proud he is of you of like making music that you care about and not try to fit some like form, like genre thing. And I really took that like so well. I was like, wow, like it really motivated me to like take it further. I knew that at one point we'd like connect and like work. And I this is like maybe I would say a couple months prior to pandemic, but he like pulled up to my house. Like he was just in LA at the time, and he came by, and we like started working on music, but it was more of like we just wanted to get to know each other, like and like understand, because like I've been such a huge Flux Pavilion fan for a long time. Just so talented, amazing, and like to be able to have like that one-on-one conversation on a roof and just like share a cigarette about it. And like
he was on this podcast once, and it's still one of my favorites. Yeah, just such an interesting dude.
Beautiful. Yeah, it's wonderful talking to him. He's just like has this, I don't know. It might be the accent, but it's just like, wow, you're like full of knowledge.
It's true. No, it's true. He really does seem
he really
does
talented.
seem like he knows something we don't,
Yeah, it's a secret he keeps. He has like this book of everything.
yeah. But I feel like he's had maybe a similar journey too. Like I could imagine why he would feel connected to the music you're making, because maybe even more than you got known as like the dubstep guy, the heaviest tear your face off guy. Mm-hmm. And then he went and really tried to make, he was, like putting on makeup and like doing this whole,
it's sick. He's playing guitar now, like
dude,
DJs. I love it.
His show is incredible. Yeah. And that last album was really good too.
Yeah, I know. He sent it to me early and I was like, bro.
Yeah.
This goes so hard.
Yeah.
And again, it sounds like him, and it's cool to watch him like dive into new avenues. Yeah. But like working with him, he made it very apparent. He's like, I want this to be your song, but I want you to take ideas that I have been hesitant on, I guess, and really make them yours, because like I feel like you're the guy that could do it. And I'm like, well, one, I can't believe you would ever say that to me. I'm about to throw up. That's amazing. 2, let's get to work. So we started hanging out, recording a couple things, and it kind of sat there for a couple months just because like there was a lot going on still. I was like still in the middle of like tour. Like I think I just finished Coachella at the time, and like I was like, all right, what's next? We gotta focus on that. And I wanted to finish the song for the album, but like the album wasn't even like flushed idea yet, so there wasn't like not like a sense of urgency on it. Yeah. And it's like I didn't know where to go with it, because it was just like maybe a minute demo, like at the time,
Sure.
And I sang on it prior, and it was like a completely different song, and it just didn't feel right. And that's fine with me, But I, spoke to him about it. I was like, hey, let's. I feel like a female vocal would sit better on this, on this track that we've been building for a long time. And I got it to a place where we were happy instrumentally with it, and we sat and like listened to like, all right, well, let's ask some people around and, see what happens. And I talked to my management and they're like, oh, I think Elohim would be cool on this, who also is like, works with my agent, Ben and stuff. Sure, like, So it's like there was like a cool circle of people that we were like, oh yeah, this would be cool for her. Let's try it out. And she sent back like a small demo, like what she was working on. I was like, this is perfect. Let's go.
Yeah.
It happened so naturally. And I think that's kind of how it works most of my collaborations, or at least they should. They never felt forced or like we have to try to finish something, you know?
Right.
The song kind of just folded out and like became what it is now. And like,
that's how it should be, man. Effortless. When it's really working, that's what it should feel like.
Yeah, I think overall the song took like a year to finish, but not like a year of work, just like a year of like, what is the song going to be? Like, we have no idea where to go with it.
Yeah.
And like, we just needed time away from it and come back and be like, all right, cool. I think we know what it is now. And it's been time.
Well, isn't that funny how that can work too, where you have a great idea for a song or you get inspired.
You can't force it. It's weird.
But then you can't necessarily finish it, or maybe you don't know how the thought or the story ends yet.
Exactly.
You know? And then, all you can really do is let it sit. And if it's a good enough idea, you'll figure it out eventually.
We're still listening to songs from the 60s, dog. Like good music doesn't go away. Like, you know, I'm still jamming out to 80s, you know.
Dude,
so it's like,
I was about to say, just because you said 80s, that was something I had actually written down. I was like, I feel like you're one of the few people in like modern EDM who is really putting 80s influences on display right now.
Yeah, I had fun with that, man. You know, I'm a big fan of like all the Lindrum stuff. You know, a big Prince fan.
Yeah.
Love his catalog. Love how just versus how he was, and I really wanted to implement that with my work. I don't know. I just grew up with that because that's what my parents are into. You know, like
that was what
it was kind of. It was the best kind of force feed you could ever have. You know, it was like sick. You know, I'm listening to like Gap Band, Funkadelic, Earth, Wind and Fire, Prince, The Time.
Yeah,
like, the funkiest of all the funk. Like I was in that.
That's all the funk stuff too. But
I was all up in that.
Was there any like new wave stuff? Because I can kind of hear that in some of your music.
Oh yeah,
too.
no, I like now I listen to a lot of that stuff. I went back and listened to a lot of things that weren't very. But I guess like I was at the mercy of what my parents listened to at the time, because it's like, you know, I didn't grow up with like a Spotify account. You know, that's like what years, like 5 years, 6 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so I was at the mercy of like what was given to me. And I had to go back and listen to some things that maybe they weren't interested in, like, you know, Flock Seagulls, like, you know, or, you know, Cocteau Twins and like random things that I wasn't introduced to at all, you know. So to do that was a fun experience, and it was like very, very cool to like, even now, like, I don't know if you know about this app called Radio. Are you familiar with this?
Yeah,
it's like
what is it? I've seen it, but I don't really know what it is.
Sick. Definitely check it out. It's a website where it gives you like a global map, and you can pick any country in a decade from like 1901 to like now, like every decade, and it just throws a radio station at you of like all the music within that time period.
Oh wow!
So it's like, oh, you want to go to like Taiwan in like the 60s? You can listen to like hours of that kind of stuff.
That's so
cool. I use that to my advantage when I'm like listening. Like, you know, I go back to the 80s, like in France, and like listen to like certain things that were really popular at the time, and like kind of implement things that haven't been given up until like now. You know?
Yeah.
Like like the first album was a lot of like all the things that I've absorbed in my life, and then this new album is all the things I've learned since the last album. So it's cool, like using those tools and like using past music to build new stuff.
Absolutely, man. That's I think the best way to do it is just try to get inspiration from unexpected places, or maybe the places other people aren't looking right now.
Oh yeah. Classical music, jazz, like you name it. Like I give it all a shot, you know. Big blues guy.
Yeah.
Which naturally is just like the genre I gravitate to. I think I'm just obsessed with the blues scale. I might get like a blues scale tattoo somewhere.
Well, dude, I remember when last time I saw it, maybe not the last time, but you were playing me some like blues rock stuff you were making.
Yeah. Oh man, I've been making like metal now. I'm making rap music. I'm trying to dive into everything.
Well, I love that, man. I mean, I don't know. It's interesting because I think you could kind of do anything. I think you've sort of proven that at this point. So then I guess the question is like, how do you determine what gets out there? How do you determine, because as long as I've known you, you're always making something. So I'm sure there's a million songs that have no one's ever heard.
Yeah, that's very true. I literally went back to my catalog yesterday. I was with my engineer who helps me with all like my vocal takes, who's incredible, by the way. And we were just trying to find some instrumental. So I like went through my SoundCloud. I found like 6 songs I haven't heard in like years. I'm like, yo, this still goes hard. What? Right. I find myself like, I did that. Oh, yeah. Oh, cool. Like I said, I listen to so much music, so I kind of understand how that music's made. Yeah. You know, in a sense, like, well, I mean, it's kind of like, you know how people or like chefs can like taste a dish and be like, oh, I know all the ingredients in it. Or like I can like take hints, you know?
Yeah.
I kind of try to implement that with music. It's like, oh, okay, this is like how they mix, or like I can tell they used analog gear, or I can like understand like their pattern and like the drum performing and like vocal performances and like things like that. I don't know. I just kind of write all that down in my head. I'm like, okay, I'm going to use this notes for later. And like when I'm making my own stuff, like if I want to make a genre that's, metal, I already know all the pieces that I need in order to make a song like that.
Yeah, that's really interesting, man. That's a cool way to think about it. So is any of it just for you then? Or
a lot of it is. And a lot of it is like now that the album's done, I'm starting to really branch out and be like, hey, let me make some music for you. You know, let me go ahead and like take the backseat and just like make the instrumental, or like, you know, give you like some hums and like, yo, sing something, or like come up with something. I've been having fun doing that as well now.
It'd be fun to hear you as like a guest vocal, or like you singing the hook on somebody's song.
I'm telling you, man,
that'd be
coming.
Fun.
I don't know. I've never taken myself as like a guest vocalist.
Yeah, of course.
I've never thought about that, but I mean, I definitely want to try that. I know people have asked me, it's like, yo, send me a vocal or something, because they know I sing.
Right.
I'm like, yeah, totally. You know, and going back to like the patience thing, sorry. No. But like it's so funny, like this album was supposed to be out in like 2020, like mid 2020. And then obviously but like the people I met like literally in the past probably 6 months finished my album for me. Like it's weird. Like and not in the sense like they did the work, like they did their part of like the album, but like the ideas or like the mental spaces or like the tools that I've been given, like this wasn't even this wasn't even an opportunity like a couple of months ago. Like it's weird. Like it's funny, like what patience can do for you in a positive sense. Like I met my engineer that I work with like all the time, because I have like 2, my boy Kyle and then my boy Curtis Martin, and you know, working with them has really like streamlined my music like process, like creating, you know. There's no sense, like I felt like I had to do it all. I felt like I had to engineer. I felt like I had to master. I felt like I had to, you know, do all the stuff. Like now I'm more of like writing the lyrics, producing the full song and mixing. I've kept it like I've kind of brought down all these things I had to do and like spread them with like people that I trust, you know. And because of that, like the project is just better now. Like I listened to what I had in 2020, what I was going to put out, to now, and it's just not the same thing, you know?
Yeah, man. I mean, we can get so precious about, and I think especially in electronic music, there's like the purest expectation of like, oh, well, if you don't do everything yourself, you're not real, you know?
There's but like, I don't have to, I feel like I don't have to prove that to anybody. Like,
no, of course not, man.
And people don't even know that like I do all the graphics, I do all the artwork, you know, I direct the videos, you know, like
you're out there dancing, man.
I'm dancing. I have choreography. Like what the heck, you know?
I wrote this down too, because I realized I never asked you. How do you dance so well? Like, have you ever taken dance lessons or like choreography lessons?
No, I really, when I was in middle school, I really was, I know it's super weird or random, but I was like obsessed with crumping.
Oh, that's amazing.
So like, I really understood like really giving like an overall, like overexpressed like thing, you know? So I went from like extreme to like bringing it down. And I don't know, I watched a lot of dancing, you know, and I think dancing is a form of like a musical art, you know, it's not I mean, you can't dance without music, you know. It's literally in the genre,
right?
EDM. Where's the dancing? You know.
Have you guys ever noticed that nobody dances in the electronic dance?
I was talking to my choreographer Drew, and she's like, "Why doesn't nobody have dancers?" Like, and not like, I mean, there are dancers like big festivals and stuff, and like there's like the go-go scene, but there's not like a choreo implication, you know, or like it's not like no one's like applying that. I think Troy Boy does.
I mean,
I've heard that.
Yeah, I think a few people do that, or you're right, for some,
or for music videos or for something, but not like as a part of the show.
No, totally, man. And I love watching you dance. There's something for real. I maybe that sounds weird, but I really like. For me, it adds something to your music to see you up there doing it. Like something about it allows me to see the bigger picture in it. Yeah, and it's just super fucking fun. But
it's fun. Yeah, it's also exhausting.
I'm sure.
Like a thief in the night, you know, just trying to get it out. Yeah. No, it's been a fun thing. I also just love to multitask. Is just in my nature. So, like for me, it's like, what can I do up there that's not just like mixing, or like not just, you know, being on the mic. It's like, all right, let me dance around. Let me like play some instruments. And that's kind of like just how I built the show, you know, for myself.
Yeah.
Also, I just like to dance. I don't know.
No, it's great.
If I have the tool, use it, you know, like
Absolutely.
For me, that was kind of how it was with the vocals too. Like, I know I can sing. I know I can like practice and get better, like anything, you know, you practice anything, get better. It's been a couple of years now. I feel like I'm probably the best vocally I've ever been.
You sound great on the tracks, man. I mean,
yeah, man. Thank you. Like I said, it's been a blessing working with like great people, as well as like my upbringing. That plays a huge part, being around choirs and like understanding, you know, what a good performance and like how you breathe properly and how do you like project yourself. It's been a lot, like it's just like notes I've taken throughout my life and like how to, again, apply those, you know?
Yeah. And it's something about, we talked last time about, you know, church music and coming up in like around church music and all that. And I think one thing about gospel that is so undeniable is the reason it's so powerful is there is that like, it's, you know, it's all the things you're talking about. It's vocal control. It's, you know, sort of very technical ideas, but then when you hear it, it sounds, you know, right on the edge of breaking, right? Like it's like the passion of it and the power of it.
It pushes through.
Right.
It makes it more, it makes it just more compelling, you know? I think it's important. And again, like with that upbringing, it just really helped me, like for real, musically, to like break barriers within myself, even just to create music that I feel doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Well, on any scale,
people, you know, see it, man.
I feel like I owe it to myself. I would hate to leave this earth without something that's almost like I've never heard some shit like that in my life. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I want to give to people. It's like, that is nothing like this.
Do you think about legacy? Do you think about, you know, what am I leaving behind? What happens when I'm gone kind of stuff? Yeah.
I'm not like the breeding kind. I'm probably not going to have kids. So that's kind of it, you know? I'm like, all right, my music's my baby. Like, that's it, dude. So, you know, for me, that's been kind of fueling me. And like, I need, not that I need to, but I want to, you know? I feel like I've definitely left an impact in some people. And I hear it all the time. It's like, man, like literally got a wedding video like 2 days ago. It's like, yo, they like walk down to your music kind of thing. And I'm like, I'm so glad that you know, what I've done has impacted so much and like has left something within people, you know, for their life, you know, their whole life. Like they'll remember that. So, and you know, I know that they'll pass that kind of music down, you know, for generations. I wanted to make stuff that was timeless. I feel like that's important, you know, and that's like why it takes patience, you know, you have to, it takes a year to listen. It's like, is it still like the song, you know?
Yeah. And it's, I like the way you're talking about it because the way you're thinking about it, it's like, well, yeah, that's when we talk about timeless music or we talk about icons of music, we tend to forget that they were just another person who was in the, you know, the same situation at a certain point maybe they wanted to make timeless music. Maybe they made some shitty ideas and had to take some time.
Yeah. None of them had to do TikTok videos like throughout the week. You know what I mean? Or like, you know, try to keep up and like put a song out every month. Like it wasn't like that.
Well, yeah, that too, right? I mean, that's a whole nother thing.
That's a whole other podcast.
Well, we can go down that road.
We're going to have to do a two-parter.
We can go down that road. I mean, I will say, I guess the one thing I'll say about that is that I've actually been feeling a lot better about that kind of stuff lately. And maybe that's something the pandemic allowed me. Was before I was like, I don't really like this, but I guess I'll do it a little when I have to. Now I'm just like, oh no, I'm not going to do this at all. And if I have something to share, I'll share it, and that's great. But like, it really has given me a focus I didn't have before, as far as just there's no point in me doing something that I'm not 100% behind.
Fair.
And so it's like, if I'm going to, you know, and maybe at some point I find some kind of platform or some way to do it that I love doing. But in the meantime, I don't know, man, I'm just done with it. It's like, I don't think I care enough. Like, and I think the art I make is going to be better because of that.
I just don't, for me, it's like, I don't want to compete against a computer.
Right.
Like for me, it's like, the only way I'm going to get anything is I have to like have deadlines of like, I have to post 3 times a week or a day. Like, I don't want to be like, I have to get this done. I don't want it to feel like a job. And it's like, I already have my work. Like,
we got jobs.
We're doing all this shit, man. Like, I'm going to add to do this. Like,
I mean, it's actually good you called it a job, because that's another reason. There are
people getting full-time paid,
dude,
from like coming up with TikTok ideas for people.
Well, and like TikTok,
salaries.
TikTok is a giant company. Instagram, Facebook, these are giant corporations that we're working for free, you know?
Yeah.
And like at a certain point, that started pissing me off too. And I was like, nah, man, like I'm not going to do it on your schedule.
Yeah. And you even see it now, like definitely with Instagram, you're like, like, where the hell are the people that were, you know, like that followed me? Like, you know, you see it all the time. It's like some people get like random, you have to fight the algorithm. And it's like, I don't want to do that. Nah. I want people that like really care about my stuff to like see my stuff. And they can't. Because like,
but the thing is too, and this is, I don't know, sorry, I didn't mean to get on a rant, the other thing I think I've become more okay with is that the idea of like less people are seeing it and being a little okay with that. Like I heard, this is random, but I heard Ice-T on a podcast a while back, and he was talking about building an audience, and, you know, because he's been like with Body Count and his band and all that. Like,
which is sick. I love Body Count.
So sick,
so hard,
and they're fully independent now, and I think have been for a long time. And he was breaking it down. He was like, man, look, if you can manage to scrape together 1,000 people who will spend $20 on a t-shirt, like think about how much money that is. Like, and that's getting 1,000 people to buy a t-shirt. That's not everybody can do that, but that's like
Ice-T can definitely do it.
Yeah, he definitely can. But you know, that to me is like an attainable goal.
That's an attainable goal, you know. Sure.
And when you look at it kind of in those smaller windows where it's just like, oh yeah, like if I can do that, or you know, some other thing like that, then that's easy work, you know. Like I'm down
I think
to
we
put
only
in
see the 20 million views and stuff like that. And you're like, oh shoot, man! Like, you know, you see people tweet like poo poo, and then like it's like 15,000 likes. You're like, what? Why? You know,
I feel like I saw you tweet that once.
No, it didn't get 15,000 likes.
But no, it's true, man. And just kind of looking at it on that smaller level of just like, we all got to define success on our own terms.
Yeah. I think I just have like this broad, this just like surface level knowledge of like what it is. Like I understand like the content that works on it. It's just like, I gotta do that 3 times a day.
Right,
damn.
Exactly.
Like, it's like,
shit to do here.
So like pop, you know, shoot, that's hard.
Yeah.
I've seen it with Vine, you know, like for me, like Thief did very well on Vine, and like Chasing Colors and all that was like really popular. Lighthouse. So like I understand it's just a remix of Vine, you know, like I understand that.
Totally.
Video content. So I'm not like oblivious, but I don't know, maybe I'm just 30 now and I'm just like, You know,
oh yeah, it's exhausting at a certain point, man.
Yeah,
it's exhausting.
Tired, man. I'm just
And we've already like you've been around long enough that you've already had to learn a few different new platforms to like stay in the game.
New platforms, new genres,
all that,
everything.
Man.
Yeah. But no, I embrace it. I honestly like love TikTok. I think it's cool. It's cool to see what people are using it for. Like I love all the like cool stitches and duets that people are doing. Like, oh, they harmonize with me, or like, oh, no one plays guitar, and then you just come up with something. Like,
oh yeah, the cool content is like, amazing.
Oh yeah, if you literally just put like hashtag air fryer, bro, I'm telling you. Magic.
Yeah.
Crazy. You're like, yo, I'm full in like 5 minutes. Crazy. Yeah. I love it.
That's so good, man. Yeah. Well, that's the thing too. I think another thing that has helped me with social media in general is like broadening the kind of stuff I was looking for on there. Because for a long time, I was just fully in the dance music bubble on social media and not really like looking at other shit I actually like to do in my real life. Yeah. And it helped a lot when I expanded that.
Yeah. I kind of learned to create separate accounts for the things that I do. Like, you know, I try not to like blend all of it. Cause I like when it came to like Instagram and Twitter, like all I had was an Ookay account. Like I didn't have a personal, you know?
Right.
I gave myself that and it really helped me. Cause like now, like my second account, I'm on more than I ever am on my Ookay pages or whatever.
Right.
Not because like I don't want to be on it or like want to talk to my fans or anything, but it's like, I've been just finishing all this work, and I'm not gonna sit here and where do you guys want me next?
Right, exactly.
Even though I'm not like even touring right now, just engagement baiting essentially.
Yeah. That's what it is, man. And it gets so sad after a while because you can see when people are just stuck in that loop of doing it.
It's a dopamine shot straight to the dome.
Yeah.
You know? It's like.
Oh,
and
totally.
I was like, yes, I like my shit. It's an alert. You know, I get it. I know it's addicting. Trust me, I've been there. I say, especially when it like pops and you're like, oh yeah, this one got 1,000 likes or 100,000 likes or whatever it is. You're like, I gotta chase that again. You know, it happens once. You're like, I gotta keep going.
Yep.
I think that's what happens a lot of these like social media influencers. They get like one thing that pops off to like, this is my life now. This is it. I gotta keep going.
Oh man, I was talking to somebody about who I can't remember who I was talking to, but about, professional influencers and streamers and all that. And like, this is a broad generalization, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but I've had a lot of interactions with people who do that professionally and, just like hanging out at a party or something. And it's like when you're talking to them, you can almost see like a gear in the back of their brain being like, is this content? Is this content? That's like, that's never really dark, turns
man.
off.
That's a dark way to live.
Yeah, I'm saying, man.
No offense to like their work. I mean, I'm glad that people can.
It's such hard work too.
Yeah. I mean, people don't see the back end. And that's like kind of what happens to musicians like all the time. They have the sick moment they get to see the cool stuff on the screen or wherever they are. But then this whole like, they always say like, don't meet your heroes because they're probably crazy,
like, don't meet your heroes is one of the truest things ever, man. Because nobody can live up to the image of like the superhero we put on people. But
no.
Well, and speaking of, so this is another thing I heard you say on the last podcast that I just listened back to, is you were talking about how nobody is allowed to take time off anymore, kind of because of what we're talking about, this social media thing. Yeah. And you were talking about, Skrillex, who obviously people look at as an icon and a superhero and all that, and saying that, it was great that like he took all this time off, was not posting anything. He still kind of is doing that. And then just every once in a while, he drops something and people lose their minds.
Why can't it be like that all the time for everybody? I get it. It's Skrillex, but yeah, no, I think he does a good job of going away for a little bit and like doing what he needs to do and come back with something.
Well,
like,
it's important, special. Man. I think it's hard to evolve as a person, as an artist, any of that, if you're posting 3 times a day. Yeah.
And you know what? I talk to my friends who aren't in music and I'm like, I always ask them questions because I love to hear from like a consumer standpoint, like who's listening. I'm like, what's your favorite thing to see when like you're artists you like posts? And it's always just like things that lead back to not even like their personality. It just leads to, I love it when they like post like either new snippets or new music or, they have announcements. And it's like very simple, cut and clear. Right. Like that's all I really want to see,
Yeah.
Now there's like some people that blend the medium well with like, Lil Nas and like Doja, that's who they are personality wise. Like they can fit that. And, I envy that. I think it's really cool to see like them being able to take it all. And I know even Doja has like talked about being like, I can't keep doing this. This is a lot, man. This is rough. Like, give me a break,
Yeah. Oh, 100%, man. And you're right too, that some people, it fits their personalities way better. And I guess that's what I'm calling for more than anything else, is just authenticity about it. Like if you love posting 3 times a day, that's great. Go post 5 times a day.
Yeah, it shouldn't feel like an obligation. But unfortunately, nowadays, it's like, sometimes that's the only way music pops for people, and it's like rough, dude. It's because like SoundCloud doesn't have the community you used to have 5 years ago. You can't repost and pop off. And next thing you know, you're like, have a US tour. Like, it doesn't work that way anymore.
Definitely not. And there was a certain era too, where like, if you had the song everybody was playing that season, you could kind of pop off and
lean with it.
Well, that
happens for people. It happens.
That
but
worked.
That sounds sick. So
oh man. I mean, that's
it makes so much sense.
Well, it makes so much sense. The craziest thing to me has been the ripple effect of that song and watching the industry try to replicate it over and over and over, where it's, to me, so weird, because it's like so obviously a great idea that you shouldn't try to copy.
No, it's already been executed. That's the problem.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that idea has already been done, but
it's been nailed. Like nailed at that.
Yeah. First time, first take, nailed it.
Yeah, nailed it. First try, thank you.
Yep, done.
Yeah, pretty much.
But that's so funny. there's like 1,000. I get so many label promos because I used to do like a Sirius XM show, and through the podcast, I get like publicist emails and shit, and so I get so many copycat songs of that track. It's wild, man. It blows my mind.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of clubs back open, and like a lot of people like that are now like from like that were raised in like even the 2000s are like 21 now. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like those are the kids at the club, the kids that like started listening to that specific time era. Period. It was like the early 2000s into like 2010s, like everything in between that.
Yeah.
Like all those kids are like in the clubs now. So it's like, you have to start. Well, not you have to, but it makes sense to flip those kind of records.
Yeah. Like, absolutely. I mean? Yeah.
Like you hear the other one, was it? I drive these brothers crazy. Like that kind of stuff. That song's popping off too.
Yep.
Everyone already knows the words. You don't have to worry about like, I think that's like kind of the charm of it. It's like, oh, everyone already knows the words.
Right. Yeah.
If the beat's good.
I mean,
adds it,
in a way, now you're making me think about it. I'm glad we're talking about this, because now you're giving me a much more positive outlook on it, because it is kind of that thing of just, it's like a bunch of SoundCloud bootlegs that are now official,
Yeah. And it's so cool because like time has passed enough where it's like, that is like sometimes the best thing to happen for some of these artists. Like, Cherish, who's on that chat on the Do It To It, like they're probably like, oh, this song is like, it's already in the past. Like, it's, not dead in the water, but like, there wasn't going to be like a surge. And then you see that happen with, and then again, you see that happen like on TikTok all the time. Even like, look at what happened with, what's that one where they do with skateboarding, like the Cholo dude?
Fleetwood Mac. Yeah.
Like you see stuff like that. Like it's so funny to think about. Like, imagine them in the studio like, yo, it's going to pop on TikTok in like 40, 50 years.
Yeah. We'll meet back here in 4 decades.
Yeah. I know, like you have like this old rock band. It's like, hey, you want to be in Fortnite? I'm like, all right, sure. You know what I mean?
So funny. That makes me think about, do you ever see the video of when Skrillex was in the studio with the Doors working on that song they did?
I'm breaking a sweat.
Yeah. Do you ever see the video of them recording it though?
So funny.
It's so funny because
they're like, I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, basically the Doors dude, I forget his name. He's just kind of like, what is this again? Like he's like,
and then like they turn around and it absolutely slabs everywhere. Everyone's like, all right. It's so crazy.
Great.
Yeah.
It's so great, man.
Yeah, no, I'm glad they were open to it because now I'm sure that changed a little bit of their, kind of like their mental space about like future music and like computer music or whatever.
I mean, I feel like there's parallel to bring it back to you too. There's parallels about all these like hybridizing ideas that we're talking about and a lot of the stuff you've been making where it is a little boundaryless. And I don't know. I mean, it makes me even, we're talking about Skrillex and the Doors. There's like, what about all the old like rap rock collaborations? Run DMC,
yeah,
Aerosmith,
yeah. What was it? That and Aerosmith?
Wasn't that
Steven Tyler?
Yeah.
Or am I tripping?
No, yeah, Aerosmith and Run DMC. Yeah, that tune. And there's like the Judgment Night soundtrack. I don't know if you ever heard that.
I'm not sure, but you gotta send me that.
I said, yeah, it was from the 90s. There's this movie called Judgment Night, and the entire soundtrack was a rap group and a metal group collaborating. Shit. But it was, people talk about it just because it was one of the first times there was like a full album of that. And so it's all these weird like 90s like kind of indie rock bands working with rappers. Yeah, I'll send you a link. It's
love it. Please. Yeah. No, it's cool. I mean, you see even now, like there's like this whole rap pop punk
dude
thing going on. Like, you know what I mean?
Crazy.
Like everything just remixes itself at some point. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, let's talk about the new album a little more in that sense. Because
let me stretch real quick.
Yeah.
No, man. Yeah, dude. I'm happy. I'm stoked, dude. Literally sent it in this morning. I said, go. Yeah. I don't want to look at it ever again in a Dropbox folder. I want to see it on Spotify. Let's go.
Well, how do you, so I mean, that is interesting. Like, how do you decide when it's done for something you've been working on for 3-4 years?
I mean, like I said, time has been so on my side with this because like mid quarantine, like all I did was relearn my entire DAW. Like I watched every YouTube tutorial, every tips and tricks, every top 10 free plugins this week.
Yeah.
What to look for in a mix, like all these like things I needed to learn to like really lift the records to be in a place where I'm like satisfied.
Yeah.
Not to say I wasn't satisfied with the old records, but I just didn't. It was like, I play so many video games. So like in my brain, it's kind of like when you have like a map and then it's just like smoggy places you haven't really checked out yet.
The
you know what I mean?
Fog of War thing. Yeah.
Yeah. There's like the foggy map thing. You're like, oh, I haven't explored that area yet. It's like, those are the parts I wanted to like dive into musically. I was like, I don't know a lot about mixing. I don't know like what compression does, like all that kind of stuff is like what I spent working on when I was working on this album. Was like, that's what I'm going to give myself is like, now that I have the time and I've listened to these records, it's like, what are they missing that is not there? And I knew what that was and was like, okay, mixing or, songwriting or vocal performance.
Right.
And like I said, those are the things that I like picked up in like the past 7 months, or like relationships I've built in the past 7 months. So a lot of these songs got built that way where it's like, okay, there were ideas that I've had for like maybe 3 years, but I guess I wasn't skilled enough to finish it in a sense. And not to say that they couldn't have been finished, but not to my satisfaction. And it's like, I know I needed to give myself that in order to make myself satisfied with the songs.
Yeah.
So that's what took so long. And I guess I'm grateful, but a lot of the songs are very different.
Yeah.
A lot of it is not, a lot of them don't have drops. Not a lot of them. I would say like a couple of them like aren't very dance based. A lot of it is more like me trying to venture into songwriting or venture into like different musical approaches and playing with things I've never done before on the first album and working on like cool collaborative projects. And there's a cool collabs on here, so I'm happy,
What other collabs other than Flux Pavilion?
So I won with Dactyl, who's really talented. He's awesome. And we met up, prior to COVID. Just on a whim. We're like, hey, let's get in the studio, let's hang out. Built a song, started playing it in my sets a couple times, give some time away from the song, and like, oh, what is it going to be at the end of it? And I finally came to that conclusion probably like, I would say like a month ago, so it's funny. Like, things are just time based. And then I have another one with Travis Porter.
Oh,
yeah. Travis Porter. Hey, now ladies.
Eternal jam. You want to talk about timeless jam? You can play that in a club right now.
We have a song called Cruise Control, which is like very R&B hip hop. That's the song. It's like, I wanted it on the album because like, it's an extension of me, and I didn't want this to be like an EDM album. I wanted it to be very in the middle. I wanted you not to be able to pinpoint it.
Yeah.
And I think that was like a challenge I had to give myself with like finishing this whole body project. Yeah, it's 14 songs. I have a song with Rachel Lauren. She's an incredible vocalist. I've been working with her a lot on her projects too. So it's been nice for me to like venture into like the pop space and really work with like a powerful female vocalist who can like really attack any track and be like, yeah, nailed it first try. I'm like, I love this. This is so great.
Yeah.
So yeah, like there's a lot of songs where I'm like, I can't sing this. Like this is not for me to sing, you know? So a lot of those I've been waiting on, you know, thankfully like she came through and helped me finish a song called Give You Up.
Okay.
Which is sick. I love that one. I have another song with this dude, Highland. He's up and coming. He's doing a lot of stuff with Insomniac right now too, which is cool. But again, like these are all people I met in the past 5 months. Like,
yeah,
like I would say like 3 or 4 songs on the album were made like in the past couple months.
That's great. Did something change in the past like 6 months, or did it all just kind of
the people I've met, the people I've created relationships with?
But I guess I'm saying like,
yes
how did
things.
they come into your life all around that time?
Through, believe it or not, death metal.
Really?
Yeah. So it was funny. I did a song with Attila. I'm not sure if the song was out at the time when we last spoke, but I did a metal song with this death metal band called Attila. Because I was a fan of them, like growing up in high school. Like that's what I listened to, was like hardcore, death metal, deathcore, like just straight breakdowns and like heavy music. So to be able to work with them was like so cool, you know. But we garnered a friendship through, you know, working on that record and like just, you know, having a lot in common. But they ended up, one of the guitarists was working on a new project, and he's like, "Yo, I'm in Vegas, man. Like, I know you live here now, so what's up? Like, let's kick it." I'm in the studio with my boy Curtis, who's helped us with like some vocal tracking. And I was like, "Yeah, send me the address. I'll see how far." Because you know I live not close to the Strip, like I said. So I was like, "Oh, I already know it's gonna be like at least a 45-minute drive anywhere."
Yeah.
He sends me the address, 10-minute walk.
Oh, nice.
I was like, "What?" I was like, "All right, I'm pulling up right now. Give me literally 15 minutes." I pulled up and was introduced, and we were just hanging out. And he introduced me to Curtis, who has like done, I would say, 60% of all the recording vocally on this album. Now, you know, in the past 6 months, like I've had to go back and like redo like complete tracking, so like of all these songs, because it's like I couldn't make it sound like that. Like there's no way. Yeah. Like I'm not like that. That's, he has like 10 years of experience, just like vocals, like that kind of stuff, you know? So I didn't stand a chance, you know? So like finding people like that was just like super, super, like, it was just like a huge step for me, like musically, to like really step up my game. And then obviously he's a great engineer. So he's like bringing people to me. He's like, "Oh, I have this guy Highland I'm already working with. Like, he's going to be in the studio 5 minutes down the street from you. Come by."
It's great.
Finished the whole record in like one night, literally done.
Wow.
On the album, done. Oh, Rachel. Oh yeah, I'm working with this girl. She's flying in from Atlanta. You know, she's going to come hang out. 3 records in 2 days.
Wow.
Done. Like crazy. It just happened so fast. Like, because like I prepped all this time. It's like, I know my doll. I already know what I got to do. I already know what it's supposed to sound like. I already know what it's supposed to mix like, you know? And that's like what that time I needed was for, you know? So
are you in Ableton now? Or are you still on FL?
Still FL.
Nice.
Yeah, still FL. I love Ableton though. Like I do a lot of projects. I'm actually working on a couple on Ableton. Like I have like a collab with AT Aliens.
Oh yeah.
So we're working on some cool music. Working with Kid, working with Adventure Club, Leo Tricks, even like the younger guys. Like I'm working on like cool EDM, heavy bass stuff, working on pop stuff. So it's nice to make time for everything.
I love that you're doing all of it, man. That's just like,
trying.
It sounds so much more fun, you know?
It is. Because, you know, like, I mean, obviously like this album is very passion projects like forward. Like I know it has the potential to like hit the pop market and like cool stuff like that. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, this is the music I wanted to make, you know,
right,
for myself first, because I knew I could do it and I knew it needed to be done at some point.
Right.
Again, it was a patience thing, and now's the time. So it's a beautiful thing.
It is, man. I mean,
and I was just, I'm sorry.
No, oh no, you finished, man. Please.
Oh no, like even the album artwork, like it's so funny. Like we've been drafting, me and my boy Ronnie, who like shoots with me. Like, he's my touring photographer as well. We've been working on this project and like building out a mood board and like all these pieces. And we found a space in LA because we were going to build like a set for this ourselves. And someone literally made the same set that we were going to build. I'm like, bro. They're like, yeah, we finished it like 2 weeks ago.
That's crazy.
I'm like, yo, if I tried to do this like a year ago, I would have been down the tank like $4,000. Like even just trying to build things like that. You know what I mean? I'm like, no one understands the power of that. Like when you know it's right, it's right. Yeah. It's crazy. Like things just fall into place. Like in the past 6 months, I've made maybe 25 songs, maybe more, like finished, like done.
Wild.
And only 14 on the album.
Right.
Like, and a new side project, which we got to talk about too.
Yeah. I didn't know if we were allowed to talk about the
we're talking about it all,
stuff.
baby.
Yeah.
I'm spilling all the teas. I'm spilling all the Celsius.
Wait, which one is that?
If I was just chugging a White Claw, like
I thought it was a White Claw for a second.
No. It's like a energy drink.
Oh, okay.
It's like one of those fit
metabolism
drinks.
There's so fucking many of those, dude.
Metabolism is trash.
Well, I got a little.
Thanks, air fried meals.
I got a little like electrolyte tab in this one, so I'm with you.
Yeah, same energy.
Yeah, same vibes.
Same vibe.
Are you still drinking? Side note.
Taking the backseat on that one for sure. I just smoke crack now. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No.
You got to commit, you really got to commit. Like,
Nah, I just kind of smoke weed.
Yeah. Nice.
I'll like, I'll do like the intent. I'll do like the microdose every once in a while, just to like on mushrooms, just like write or like do fun creative stuff in the studio. I don't really like to pop off on anything. I think that's what my 20s were for sure. Like I just had fun with it,
Yeah, for sure. But the only reason I asked is because I remembered us like polishing off that bottle of wine while we were doing
trust me.
And I always felt like I felt like it would be like I would talk to you one day and you'd be like, let's party. Then the next time I talk to you, you'd be like, oh no, I'm sober now. Then the next time you'd be like,
I have Church of Christ, I'm baptized. Yeah. No, I take breaks. I have my seasons. And I think that's kind of like how I live my life.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I do with music too. Like right now is album season.
Right.
And who knows, maybe the next season is, the side project. And then the season after that, maybe I go back to making more heavy trap stuff, There's time for everything. You just got to learn like what that plan is.
Yeah, man. One, I saw you're like debuting the live show at Ultra, right? That's got to be a heavy lift to get that ready.
Well, you know what? I've been doing it for like 3 years now, so I'm not nervous anymore. Like,
you don't have to like build the whole thing anymore, right? Because you kind of know how it all works.
Honestly, it's been more stressful because I've had to downsize my set.
Oh,
I'm like, I have like 2 albums worth of music plus like 7 singles that were already in the set. And this is pre the new album being dropped. So I'm like, oh my God, I can only play like maybe 3 or 4 of the records like on the whole set from before,
Yeah. Interesting.
Like, it's weird. Yeah. It's a weird problem to have. I'm like, damn, like I have so much new stuff I have to play like for myself that like I have to like cut stuff. I like that.
I mean, think about like huge rock bands who've put out, 10, 12 albums with like hits on every single one.
I can't imagine. It's
gotta be wild.
AC/DC is probably pulling their hair in the back.
Oh man.
Or what they have left.
Well, I think so many of them, like Metallica, just ends up playing like 3-hour shows. They're just like, we gotta play all these songs, man.
Yeah, Jenks, he's like a huge Grateful Dead fan, and we've been to a couple like Dead sets, to celebrate like big accomplishments and stuff. Which it's been cool to go to that. But yeah, I can imagine like those sets are like long. They like have intermission.
Crazy.
Like they'll do like 2-hour set, 30-minute intermission. Another 2-hour set. I'm like, damn. And then they'll do like a second night and then a completely new set list.
Yeah, well, that too, right? That shit.
Yeah, that's crazy,
man. But I don't know, man. I could totally see you getting to some kind of point near that where it's, you've got a big enough body of work behind the live show where you could pick and choose a little,
Oh, totally. I mean, I've had her already do that. Like now I have to announce that it's a DJ set sometimes, like when I go into clubs, because people don't know what to expect. Like, am I going to be, I still sing at my like DJ sets for like when it makes sense. Like I'm not, but I've definitely had to separate at this point. Like, it's just too much stuff. It's too much content.
Yeah.
On my end, I'm like, I have too much music.
It's a good problem to have.
It is. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
As opposed to
it's a bad problem if you don't know how to separate. Then it's like, ugh. But thankfully, I've done this long enough where I'm like, okay, it makes sense to like have a DJ set, you know, for what I've done already that people like so much on the heavier bass stuff. I mean, even like a couple months ago, I just put out the Back to Basics 1 hour movie on YouTube.
Yeah, I saw you do that.
You know, I was wearing the mask again. You know, like, you know how to throw it back one time.
I love
you know?
that. I mean, you were very early on mask wearing.
Oh, I know. You know,
the rest of the world caught up a little later, but yeah,
I'm on that feature grind. No, yeah, it was hard to breathe. Like that's definitely like why I had to take it off. I was like, dude, yeah. I mean, you see how much I dance on stage. Imagine doing that with like.
Dude,
it wasn't like a breathable mask. Right. It was like just a material on my face, like plastered. I'm like,
like non-porous. Yeah.
It was not thought out very well. I was just like kind of going.
Well, this is so stupid, but I have the same thing. I've never understood people who can wear super dark sunglasses in the club and play shows. Because I get it. I'm like, I see people do it. I'm like, oh, I look so cool. And I tried to do it once or twice. I'm like, I can't see shit. How do people do this?
I think that's the point. Yeah. You're just like, I don't want to see anybody here. I shouldn't be here.
But like literally, I don't know. I couldn't see the shit I was trying to do with the CDJ. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah,
man.
I think
I'm not that cool.
I think they definitely have to be like, hey, can you put like lights on the, you know, on the CDJs or whatever, right. Just to like highlight that. I mean, that's something you do on like the tech writer side, I guess, maybe. But that would be my only way to fix that situation.
Yeah, totally.
Like, you gotta light it up super hard. In the booth.
It's like it's so funny.
Which only helps you because it highlights your features.
That's
like,
true.
In the booth, there's lights are shooting at you directly. You're not dark ever. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's true. And then it reflects maybe off the gear back up at you.
And people can see kind of like within the lens. I can see why it's cool when people do that.
I like this, man. You give every time I complain about something, you give me like the positive side of it.
We're problem solvers over here.
Yeah, man. I don't know, man. I do think of you as like generally a positive, optimistic dude. Like, would you agree with that? Because I know, I mean, obviously we even talked about it. There's plenty of darkness.
Oh yeah, too. I mean that comes with.
But
I mean, and that's look at comedians. Some of the darkest people ever. You know, they go through so many trials and tribulations mentally, and that's like why it's funny, low key. You know.
Oh, totally, man. And
it's just comedy.
Well, and comedy is about, I think, you know, it's we laugh because the other option is to cry, right?
Yeah,
and it's like you got to pick one.
I'm going to write that down. That's so good.
I mean, to be fair, I'm
going to give you a couple writing points on that one for sure.
But that's the whole thing, right? Is like if something big happens, you know, what are we going to do? We either laugh about it or we cry about it.
Yeah, that's crazy. I love that. Yeah. If the next song says that, I'm literally gonna put
to be Willy fair, Joy,
like it as an ad-lib in the
I
back.
didn't invent that. Not my. I don't know who first said that, but
it's okay. Well,
I'm happy to take credit.
you do the remix.
Yeah. Remix.
Literally, it's in my notes now. It's so good.
No, it's true, man. That's what comedy is, man. It's like, and I think
no, you're not wrong.
There's something about them. Like the idea is like, how close can we dance to the edge before going over, you know?
Yeah. It's I mean, I am a positive person just because like I have seen the light in people that I know has impacted me, and I know that I can reciprocate that to someone else. You know, there's like some sort of like, I don't know. There's beacons of light in my life that I know have helped me that I know people need. You know what I mean? So I try to keep that same amount of lightfulness and like playfulness or like positivity within, you know, my life or my actions or what I do, and to help other people, you know, surprisingly. You know?
Right. Well, and then don't you find that if you're able to do that to help somebody else, that then often you feel better too?
Yeah. No, it's great. It is taxing. That's not to say it's not, because like people depend on you for that sometimes, you know, and it's like, you know, you're the guy, and sometimes I'm not always there mentally where I'm like, you know, everything is positive. But sometimes I'm like, everything fucking sucks. You're right. You know?
Yeah. You're like, sorry, man. Yeah.
Sorry, man. Everything sucks.
Got nothing for you.
Yeah. No, and I have to remind myself to be that way for most things. I've been on the other side where I have been fully just all pessimistic and like, everything sucks, you know, and those are seasons.
Yeah.
Again, everything comes back to seasons for me. There's a time to be sad. And I think those are things like you need to feel. I don't think everything should be all sunshine and rainbows.
Yep.
for your own sake. I don't think that's human. I don't think that's right.
I agree.
Now there's extreme forms of it, like, you know, where I have also been, and I don't think that's like healthy. But again, that was at a time where I didn't talk to anybody about it. You know, I didn't really open up. I didn't really give myself that, which I'm doing a lot more now. And I think songwriting has helped me because I didn't have that prior.
That's really good, man. That was gonna be my next question. Even was, you know, what outside of seasons, like, are there any constants in your life? Are there any things that you do as like a practice to keep yourself in a good headspace? Whether that's you know, meditation, whether that's exercise, whether that's diet, medication, anything.
I'd be lying right now to say if I was doing any of that, because I've been finishing this album.
Right.
So like I think I've been outside maybe twice in the past week and a half.
Oh wow.
It's bad. Like, it's not good.
Back to 2020 quarantine levels.
I've done a terrible job of that for the past month for sure. But I mean, it's grind time. Like I know like crunch time is like a thing, and I needed to do that for myself. It was like, all right, I'm just gonna do everything I need to do. After this, I mean, like next week I'm going to Mexico, so I'm gonna have fun.
Oh,
like,
beautiful.
Really decompress a little bit. So yeah, I don't know. I've been creating on other fronts too. Like if music takes too much and it's like, I feel like I've hit a wall there. Luckily I have other avenues of like creating, like working on like the Coaster project and like all the art behind that.
Right.
I've been going out. I've been dating again.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it's been 5 years since my last relationship.
Well, yeah, which I remember that. And then,
that was like at the end of it.
Right.
I believe. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I feel like you and I I don't think we talked in detail, but yeah, I feel like we talked a little bit. At a certain point, it seemed like you were just like, I don't know if I'm ever going to find somebody at this point.
Yeah. It's been like that. Like, honestly, that really hasn't changed in the past 5 years. I've been really focused on just healing. For myself. Not a reflection of anyone else. I just really focused so much on someone else at every given time that wasn't music. I never gave myself a chance to like find out who I was or what I wanted or this and that.
Yeah.
Gave myself the time to like be alone. I was in things since before I was a DJ. You know, I had a 5-year and then a 2-3 year right after that. So just in the midst of everything that was going on, I was always with somebody or something. And it wasn't always a healthy situation, unfortunately. Right. So I wish it was that was the case. You know, I wish it was like, oh, I've had a long time.
What's it been like getting back into dating, out of curiosity?
It's weird because like nothing is like super serious. It doesn't feel like everyone, like I'm trying to like, hey, I want you to be my girlfriend or anything like that. It's just like, you know, I'm like testing the water, like, you know, diving back into the water and like going on dates and seeing, you know, just amazing people out there. So
there's so many people in the world.
It's crazy.
Like that's such I'm sure somebody could cut that out of this podcast and make me sound very dumb, but it is a crazy thought to have. I can't remember. I read this somewhere. Someone was talking about I can't remember who said this, but they were talking about that idea of like your one true soulmate being somewhere out there. And this person was saying they didn't buy into that because they were like, no, like probably in the like closest 1,000 people around you. Yeah,
there's always a remix.
There's a soulmate in there. But then if you moved across the world, there would be another soulmate. Like how many people are you going to meet in your entire life? Like a few thousand, maybe for us who travel a lot, a little more. But it's like, compare that to how many people are in the world. Like there could be so many people out there for you. There could be so many interesting people you'll never meet. It's such a weird thing.
And I think I needed to give myself that. I think like prior, I was so like exclusive, like in a relationship that I never gave myself the chance to like talk to, you know, the opposite sex at the time. And I wasn't talking to like literally women. Like, I just had a girlfriend and that was it. I had guy friends and that, you know, it was very just that, you know, so there's so much I missed out on, like so many friendships and like opportunities, like working with people and like hanging out and like stories to be made. I never really gave myself that. So I've been doing that more now, and it's helped build me as a person and like understanding kind of what I like. You know, up until now, I never really like, what do I look for in somebody? You know, because I needed to find out what am I looking for in myself? You know, like what do I want? You know, so like now that I feel healed from that, like just so much emotional distress at the time. You know, like things aren't always healthy, unfortunately, and it's not a reflection of the other person either. Sometimes it's just like, it's don't mesh. You know, you think you do, and it just doesn't work.
Timing sometimes too, like
happens. It happens. I've seen two great people just fall out, and just for the sake of like, oh, we just I'm not feeling it.
Absolutely.
And then you're like, oh, it doesn't make sense, but it's not my story to have.
I always think about it as like, you know, you're on the swing set next to somebody, and it's like they're in sync for a while, and then they start going different, you know.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you're out of sync with somebody.
Yeah, life happens. You grow, and like that's the thing. I needed to know who and what I need in my life. I mean, I wasn't trying to figure that out with someone and then hurt someone and be like, hey, actually, by the way, this is not what I was looking for. Try to waste your time. I didn't want to waste anyone's time anymore. I'm also like, you know, I'm having fun again. So
and I think the older you get too, the quicker you can tell what you want. Yeah. And the quicker you can kind of assess situations and people.
It's easier to pick out. I mean, you deal with a lot of people. So like you can kind of pick out like what you are looking for in a person or what to avoid even. You know?
Absolutely.
And it's not to say that they're horrible people.
No,
You're just like, it's not for me.
No, it's a positive thing, man. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, it's like, what do you want to surround yourself with?
Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to open up my circle a little bit more and like be more inviting and kind of do that. I think that's helped me a lot mentally because, you know, I was alone for 5 years, you know, very just shut off. Like, nah, I don't want anything.
Yeah.
So this is like, I honestly think it's only been like two months of me like finally trying to like dive back in. Because I said I needed 5 years. Like literally I told myself like I need a 5-year break. Like I did 7 years straight. I need 5 years to really figure out like and take back like what I didn't get for myself. So I feel like I finally reached that point in my life. I think that has helped me a lot. I think a lot of emotional distress has like been healed. That has helped me mentally everywhere else, honestly, because like it's garnered just even friendships and like opportunities for me. Like there's so many people that I haven't been able to talk to prior. Like, you know,
right.
Yeah, like straight up, like women have given me opportunities I hadn't had before. You know, it's like, oh, I would have missed out on this if I was like, oh, I can't talk to anybody. You know, it's like that's where it was at the time. So like to finally have that was it was nice. Yeah.
That's great, man. Yeah,
and I think that's helped with my music. It's helped with it's not just everything I do. It's like this and gaming. It's like that's all I have. And I feel like I can definitely do more now. And now that the album's done, I'm like,
yeah.
It's all like just with timing, you know, it's cool. Like now I'm like giving myself to like be Abe, not just okay all the time.
Yeah.
And make music.
Man. That makes me happy to hear you talk about it. Like,
yeah. I haven't talked to really anybody about it, you know? So I think only my mother,
man,
you know, and it's like, she's like the only one I talk to about that kind of stuff. But I'm more open about it now because I'm more comfortable. You know, I wasn't before. Before I was like very, I had like this bad, like this gross kind of feeling about the whole situation.
Just like there's certain, I get that.
I was turned off by it. I was just, completely turned off by it.
There's absolutely things in my life where, there's just, there's some kind of issue, but you don't even really want to dance around it. It's just like, let's just keep that over there, you know?
Yeah. Now I'm starting to be like, look, everything I've written about that I've experienced is on this body of work. Now I have to start all over again. You know what I mean? And it's a good thing because like now I can build more relationships. I can have more fun. I can, build more stories for myself and like see where my life leads me. And I need to live in order to write. And it's like,
it's the seasons thing you were talking about, right? Like it's like the start of a new season. And I don't know.
Exactly.
Everybody loves
the new season for
changing.
Me.
Yeah, man.
That's how my life works. My life works in seasons.
It's beautiful, man. That's such a good way to think about it. Well, and we mentioned it for a second earlier, but is your coaster project, is that one of the new things?
Yes. And it's hard. So like, it is a mainly house project, but I've definitely taken a different approach to what I believe house music is and really try to see it from the outside looking in. And like, there's a lot of amazing things that house music does. So it was very challenging to find this like in between or like fit myself in there.
Yeah. Well, I finally
molded something where it makes sense for me.
Right. Because that's the difficulty of all of that is, you want to be respectful to the genre and the roots and all of that. But then
Holy
it's
house,
also,
man.
yeah, of course, man. But then it's also, you don't just want to copy that.
I mean, how much can you really copy in house music? It's literally.
I mean, people are trying. I'll say that.
Oh, true. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know. We were just talking about that too, huh? Yeah. If you're right, you was right.
Yeah.
No. So this is it's called Coaster, and it's not a anonymous project, but it is. I'm not the face of it.
Right.
You know, it's my face, but it's not my face. I wouldn't say a mask, but it is kind of like it's like a remix of my face. I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's like interesting. Yeah, it's like,
I like that.
Yeah, it's like a face remix. And then the music is in between like melodic and made for the clubs. It's definitely made for like, you're supposed to play this in the club and in the car and jam out to it. It's not like crazy hype. Like I wouldn't say it's like try to be mainstay. I don't want to like. It's definitely a project that I think is like cool. You know what I mean? It's like a cool project. We'll see how far it goes. Like I've had Coaster as a project for maybe even longer than Ookay.
Dude, I was about to say, I think I feel like the first time I ever met you, you played me some of those tunes.
Yeah. So it's definitely a lot different from that. And I'll send you the EP. I already have a whole EP finished. I have artwork finished. I have the mask that I'm building right now is in its beta stages still. But I think that's like the only thing I'm missing is finishing that portion. Once the album's out, I'm going to do a couple like secret sets here and there and like start to really test the music in the club. And like, thankfully Vegas has been cool for me with that because like I have friends that like play here all the time, you know? So I'm like, yo, try this record out tonight. And I can like pull up and hear what it sounds like on a system in the club really in Vegas. So it's like, to be able to have that resource is pretty nuts. And to have friends that are willing to play the music like that is really cool. And luckily it works in clubs like that. So if it works in Vegas, I'm happy to see where it can lead everywhere else in the world because it is really cool and it really can fit like a huge audience on the house scene, like on that front. So I'm excited about that project, man. It's really cool. I mean, I have a whole mood board. I have color palettes picked out. I have every merch ideas, like everything's already done. Like I already finished all that. So on top of this album, that's completely separate, So I don't know.
Is that going to be the next focus for you?
Yes. Yeah. It'll be the next focus on top of an Ookay, like all these collabs I've been doing. Like, like I said, like AT Aliens, Kid.
Yeah.
All kinds of different people. Slushy has been hitting me up. It's like, we were just texting, like I told you. And he's like, yo, man, let's make some music, man. We're too good at this shit. I'm like, yeah, man, we made like 6 songs together. Like, it's crazy. Like, we just work so fast.
Oh, that's great.
I'm like, yeah, let's finish the EP. Who cares? Like,
Yeah, man, why not? Let's just have
on top
fun.
Of working with Rachel and like helping her finish her EP and like, yeah. And
are you going back on tour too? I have to assume you doing like an album tour?
Yeah, I want to. So I want people to listen to it and really like resonate with the album. I'm not like trying to like albums out tour. Like I'm going to give it some time so people can listen and like really be excited and like know the music. I think I did that with my first album is I toured the album before it was out. Like the Wow Cool tour was before the Wow Cool album.
Wow Cool album, yeah.
Yeah. Which was cool. It was cool to like for people to be like, I've never heard any of these songs, but like it's cool to see like a brand new approach. Like this is like the first V1 live show,
Right.
And then obviously the second tour came around and people knew the songs and the shows were bigger and this and that. So it's, I'm not in a rush to do that. And luckily I have this Coaster project to like have fun and like go back into the clubs and like DJ, certain events. And, obviously the Ookay DJ sets still go crazy and people love that. And I keep getting, invited back to some great clubs across the US or wherever they allow me. Like I said, I'm going to Mexico for a show too.
Yeah.
So it's been a blessing like having so many relationships build up and like have like those opportunities come in still for like even when I'm not like pushing anything,
Right.
It's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, this album will definitely be a tour. It'll be bigger because I have more people on the project now. Like I said, I have choreo now, and like that's a part of the show. It's not like the special thing. Like that's the show. That's what you're getting. The whole thing, and buying so much of the production and like really building up to this point. Like after Coachella and like Life is Beautiful and all these things, like and the bus tour that I did, like those are all investments that I've made that can still benefit me like crazy. Like I still have all this crazy lighting production. I have all the cryo and all that stuff. Right. Like it's sitting in my garage right now with a big inflatable letter, Ookay letters, like it's all chilling in there. Like I don't have a car. I just have a 3-car garage full of gear. Great.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. So the tour will come, but I want people to like really sit with the music and be like, all right, I've listened to this for like the past 7 months now. Like, all right, now, all right, cool. Now let's tour. I'm not in a rush to get on the summer circuit or anything like that. Festivals probably next year or like in the winter,
Yeah.
I'm not like trying to, like I said, I've been doing this for a long time. So
yeah. Well, and that again, man, we keep coming back to this idea of patience where it's like, yeah, man, like, patience. Well, that'll happen when it happens.
And again, like it's been tried and true, at least for me, like the worst thing I ever did was like rush things. Like it's never ended well for me. Like, unfortunately. So like, why even try to do it again, So the choreo has been fun to work on. I've done like literally like 8-hour choreo sessions with my, dancers, add a second dancer, like full, like on the full show.
Right.
Yeah. Working with different choreographers even like have come in and be like, oh, you should try doing some stuff like this and like build for me. I'm like, it's crazy. Like,
wow,
it's nuts. On top of like now March is basically roll out the album and rehearse and figure out what to play for Ultra at the end of the month. So it's a good timeline. I'm really happy with, I want this to be like the debut show. It's like, hey, this is what I want to take across, the world.
Right.
That's kind of like the showcase. It's like the showcase of the album, showcase of the new show, of how far things have gone since the last time I played at Ultra, the live show. The first time I ever didn't use a table and I had just the mic in the middle was Ultra. So I was like nervous as hell, man. And to be able to come back with this newfound like confidence that I didn't have is exciting because I know the stage. I already know, what to expect as far as like the weather and like, just what to give people. Like I know exactly what to give them, and I'm excited for that. And I think this album is like a really cool indicator of like where I'm going to be taking my music next. And it's also like an homage to the things I made in the past already. Like some of the songs very like Lighthouse, Chasing Color vibe. Some of the stuff is a little darker. Some of the stuff is, housey. So it's all within the same concept of like what Ookay is as far as the live music. And I'm excited for that. And for people to hear it.
Yeah, man. I mean,
it's a long time coming.
Dude, yeah, it's got to feel great.
Yeah, and then the coaster stuff and then, all this other cool stuff, man. I have a lot to be excited about and I haven't been able to talk about it with anybody. So I'm grateful for you to give me this platform and this opportunity to really, really finally talk about these things.
Dude, it's overdue, man. You're welcome anytime. And
I know we were supposed to do it. I think like
a year ago, maybe. I don't even know. Yeah. What is time?
Yeah. I think I don't know what happened. I think I don't think I was home or something.
Yeah, it was some conflict. I don't even know, man. But that's again patience. I feel like this is the right time to do it.
Is when I went to Mexico.
Oh, okay.
I literally was like. I found out the day before someone's passport went expired or something like that.
Right.
They're like, hey, you need to fly out like at 8 a.m. and it's like 6 p.m. like the day before. I'm like, oh my God, what? And I'm like, all right, cool. But yeah, we had plans.
Which is fine. But I feel like...
Which is great because I don't think I would have had the stuff to talk about.
Exactly.
I would have been like, it's coming, which, okay, sick,
Right, yeah.
But now it's like literally like...
Cool, bro.
I'm getting calls like, it's all good. Let's go. Let's run it. Contracts. Blah, blah, blah. So it's fun to...
No, it's perfect, man. I love talking to you, man, every time. Like whether it's a podcast or not, I'm grateful for you, man.
Like I miss your presence, dude. And like I do remember it happened yesterday, the last time we hung out.
Yeah.
At Ava at my old apartment and hanging out.
That's true. And just like seeing you on the road, random places.
Oh, yeah. We would just hop around and stuff.
Yeah. I miss that, man. I hope we get back to that.
Yeah. I think we're closer than ever to what was normalcy.
Yeah, I think
that's
we are
not
too.
If like everything goes to war and like
well, dude, I mean, that was another thing I was gonna say is like I'm actually grateful to just I don't know. I was in a worse mood when we started having this conversation and I feel a lot better now Because
you're welcome.
This is for people who don't know. It's like this, like Ukraine got invaded today, and I've been a little
That's crazy, man.
I've been a little fucked up all day, but I do feel a lot better. And what's really crazy is that when I was listening back to the first podcast we did, you mentioned Ukraine.
Because the first place I ever went to overseas was Ukraine, in Kyiv.
Show.
People don't know, like, this has been going on for a long time.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean,
people are like acting like this just happened yesterday. Like, it's coming to light that way. But honestly, this conflict has been years of just tension.
Oh, decades. And
that people don't know. Yeah, people don't really like. Well, I mean, obviously, it's not for them to know because like they only can see what's in front of them.
Well, but right. I mean,
when you're in there, when you're actually there, like I was there, like it doesn't get more.
Yeah. It
doesn't get more like you're there. Like
forget.
I was there.
Yeah.
It was weird, man. It was weird to see that and then go play trap music like that night.
Well,
like,
I was going to ask you, what are your memories of the show in Ukraine?
I realized at that moment, I'm like, y'all some crazy MFers, dude. Like this is nuts. Like I think we went to like 9 a.m. Yeah, they were just like giving me shots on fire and stuff like in the green room. I'm like, what is going on? Like nobody left the club. I think it was like 7 a.m. I'm like, I literally can't stay awake anymore because I'm still jet lagged. I just got here.
Right.
And like literally no one left. Like not a single soul. Like 7 a.m. people were still there. And I'm like, dude, what? Like when I walked in at like midnight, it was like the same crowd that was there at 7 a.m. I'm like, this is nuts.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Professional
I literally
partiers, man.
left the club and it was like people were like having breakfast. I'm like, that's messed up, dude.
All I wanted to say before we got onto this was that I was bummed about that earlier today, and talking to you put me in a better mood. And I don't know. That's what it's all about, man. I feel like
I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
No, thank you, man. And I feel like we should end it on like a just a fun note.
Oh yeah.
I wanted to ask you because I haven't talked to you about this yet, and this is just a silly story. But I wanted you to tell me about bringing Kenny G out at EDC.
yeah, let's talk about it. Cool.
That was that. What did he think about that?
Well, he's never been to a rave like ever. It was his first time.
Why
ever.
would he be? Yeah.
No, I know exactly. Yeah. Why would he go to a rave? Apparently, his son knows my music very well. Who I believe is producing and stuff too. So that's probably why he's familiar.
Yeah.
He's probably like diving into like the whole world of it. But obviously that was around the time when like Thief was like huge, had a saxophone. It like made sense. And I think the stage manager of the stage like knew them personally, kind of. And we kind of hinted it that we're like, hey, we would love to do something like that. I think it'd be cool. And it just turned into like I'll reach out for sure.
Wow.
Next thing you know, I get a text, hey man, this is Kenny G. And I'm like, I'm going to throw up. It was crazy. No, it was nuts, man. Like, yeah, he was very interested. I told him like, yo, we got a helicopter for you, or, do the whole thing. He's like, yeah, I'll fly myself to Vegas. Like, wow. He's like a licensed pilot. Like, he's just like, yeah, it's crazy. Like when we were in the air, we took a helicopter together and he was like telling me all these like crazy facts about the sky. Like,
that's great.
Like Virga, you know what Virga is?
No.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I said. Yeah, it's like it's apparently when like rain, like it rains in the sky but never hits the ground.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. It's like it literally dissipates before even it gets close to the ground, so you don't even know it's raining in the sky. Like that whole thing. But obviously, pilots have to care about that because they're in the sky. Yeah. So I'm like, oh, that's cool. And like certain wind patterns and all this stuff. I'm like, this is crazy. Yeah, he's like a licensed pilot. Like that's what he does.
That's incredible. So, I mean, did he? Like, I'm just curious about his, like, do you know what he thought of it once he saw
he
it?
had a great time. Yeah. Like it was all special. And it was funny because like we got there. I remember us landing in the festival and we're just, I'm walking side by side Kenny G, like crazy. What the hell's going on? And I remember just like entering like the artist area and everyone just like stops doing whatever the fuck they're doing.
Of course.
Like, is that Kenny G? I'm like, yeah, it's Kenny G, bro. I don't know what's going on right now. I was just as baffled as everyone. Like, it's still crazy to think about like that even happening.
It's so surreal.
I remember
but it's also the most badass shit because I think EDC at a certain level, like there's an expectation almost of like, oh, you're gonna bring out like a big celebrity or whatever. But it's like, I don't give a shit if somebody brings out like a big rapper, a big like pop star, whatever, but bring out Kenny G is some badass shit.
I felt very, very happy about that. And it was cool because like, I remember doing that set and I was like there's like this DJ booth, right? Obviously. And I have my live show. So all my stuff is set up in front of that, which is like lower,
right?
Like a lower platform. So all my stuff was there. So I had no idea like who was behind me at the time. So there were some times I had to go back to the DJ booth to like bring up people or whatever. And like Pasquale's like there, like talking to Kenny G and like all this stuff and like taking pictures. I'm like, this is so crazy. Like everyone's here right now.
That's so good.
And I still get people like hit me up. They're like, dude, I took my parents to their first EDC that year that you brought Kenny G out.
Oh, wow.
And that's how we bonded, was like, there was this finally this connection between like the music I love and the music they love that we never got to share together.
Wow.
And like, I gave that to people for like the first time. Like some people like bonded over that, like still to this day, just because it's like, oh, we like the same thing. Like, you know, it all blends together. I wanted to bring something from a world that I know and really, like I said, that's part of who I am. Like, I love jazz. I love, you know, it made sense. Kenny G, it's like perfect timing.
Right.
You know, the song was like at the heat, you know, at the time, it was like perfect timing. You know, it's been out for 2 years, still popping crazy. He was interested. Everything just like literally landed in my lap. Like there wasn't anyone I had to chase down to make it happen. It literally like got text like, hey, he's down. Yeah. Oh, hey, he'll fly in the day before and do sound check. And I was like, amazing. What is going on? Like why is it so easy? I mean, obviously it's like the people around me. It was like, you know, again, like kindness goes a long way. Like,
man, yeah.
They didn't have to do that and reach out for me. Like we just, you know, created a friendship and it turned into like, oh yeah, I'll throw you a bone. I'll do this favor, you know, that I didn't even ask for. I just brought it up. I'm like, oh, it'd be sick to get Kenny G. Next thing you know, Kenny G's that freaking EDC. Like,
there you go, man.
I don't know. Yeah, things like that. You can't really. There's no formula. There's no like explanation.
You can't plan it, and all you can really do. I think what you said earlier is like kindness is the
literally
key to
manifested
all that.
it. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, and just like be good to people around you, and then probably what you'll get back is pretty good. You know?
Yeah, I mean, it's worked for me. Like, I tell everyone I work with that tours with me is like, we need to be the most enjoyable, easiest group of people. These promoters, these liaisons, these production people have ever had to deal with. We need to go in there and not have them lift a finger for us. Like, we just already know what we're doing. We're professionals. This is what we do. Like, that's, you know, they paid for our services. Let's give them the best service that we can do. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's still business. Like, you know, I can be drunk rock star on stage. Like, who cares? I'm the guy who can not give a good performance or, you know, be a good person. I can go trash your green room if I want and still get away with it. But like, then I don't get those opportunities later on. Exactly. You know, it's like, those are investments, you know?
All of it, man. Yeah. That's a great way to think about it. It's yeah, man.
And not investments in like a sense of like, oh, like career, every relationship has to be like a career jump or anything like that. But you'd be surprised, man. Like the people like are just like chilling next to you, end up being like the CEOs one day. And it's like, you know, it's like, I remember when you were just like, you were super cool to me. And here's an opportunity. And like, that happens to me all the time. And it's like been years now, like where these people have like really built something for themselves and they come back and like, yeah, I know Abe. He's a cool dude.
Great guy.
Let's do something.
Had a good time. Yeah, exactly, man. I mean, and the flip side of that is if you are the asshole on stage or in the club, you know, watch who you end up hanging out with. Like watch the people around you.
The competition is too fierce, like in music right now, especially because everyone is getting better at producing. Everyone's getting like the resources are so much easier to like attain, you know, like someone could take your spot in like 5 seconds, you know?
Yeah.
You know, and if you're a dick about it, like no problem. There's 10 more of you, bitch. Like you're not special. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I mean, yeah.
Absolutely, man.
Obviously, like they're not gonna say that, but they're like, why would we? That was like such a bad experience. Like, you don't want to do that to people.
No, and it's the same way even outside of the industry, just human relationships.
Human relationships. Yeah. Like I said, like those were human relationships that turn into that because of the, you know, being organic and just being, you know, friendly to everyone.
There you go. Yeah, I talk about that.
Doesn't matter if they had any
time.
Status or platform. It never matters. But yeah, like it's crazy how far kindness can get you. Man. You know, you might not think about it now. It might not happen tomorrow because you were nice.
Yeah.
Things happen. sometimes things go south even when you are nice, but you just gotta wait it out.
Patience,
be patient.
Man. There you go. There you go. We
Patience.
brought it full circle, man.
Full circle.
I mean,
that's the patience part.
It's perfect. It's perfect.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
Is there anything else on your mind? Anything else we didn't talk about before we get out of here?
Let's see. Yeah, no, the album, 14 tracks. The album name is called Very Special.
Hey, we got there. Nice.
We got a very special album, very special tour, very special music, very special guest, very special merch.
That's a great
Let's
name.
go, man. I know. It's kind of like, I'm very on the nose with it. You know, like Wow Cool album. It's kind of just
Wow
like a
Cool album.
words.
Also one of my favorite album titles.
I love that. Well, I can't wait for you to hear this one, man. I'm proud. I'm actually super proud of this one. It's like, it's cool to see like what I've built in like, it's funny to just like look at my life in audio form, you know,
man.
A lot of this is like things I've actually dealt with in my life. And it's like, oh yeah, this is like it's just like an audio journal. Like really.
Yeah.
Well, that's for me.
The best music always is, man.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
really
you're
is.
right. You're right.
You're right. And the best music is also fun. And I've had so much fun doing it. So it's just a twofer, you know, for me. It's like fun music, you know, it's expression based, and it's like things I've always wanted to talk about and want people to relate to. I know like a lot of people don't have someone to talk to. So like I want to give them, you know, that conversation. Like a lot of these songs are about that. Like, hey, I'm not always happy, or oh, hey, I just want to be okay, or hey, you know, why can't I find someone for me, or oh, hey, like, am I better alone, or you know, things like that. You know, conversations that you have within yourself. I want to give that to people to like let them remind them that, you know, other people feel this way too. You know,
yeah.
So that's kind of how I connect to humans. I guess.
I love that, man. I mean,
animals. I don't know. I've seen dogs dancing.
Yeah. But you're right, man. I mean, that's at its core. That's why we all do what we do, right? Is it's like, I love making music. I love listening to music and all that. But the reason that's behind all of that is because it deepens my connection to the world and the people in it, right?
Yeah. And it gives you that connection. It's like, that's why I feel a lot of people like have this connection to their heroes or their, you know, people they look up to. It's like, oh, he talks about things that I also have been through. Like, I think that's why a lot of people like Kanye. He's like, lost his mom. He went through, you know, all these relationship problems. Like people go through those things too. They just, obviously his scale is a lot grand. And that's why he's like on everywhere, you know, he's going through a divorce, losing, you know, the whole kid situation. People deal with that in real life all the time, and they don't have anyone to talk to. And that's like, I feel like why people gravitate towards music or certain artists because they don't mind talking about it.
Yeah.
Know?
It's a way to feel a little less alone, you know?
Less alone. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, that's really what this album is like reconnecting and like touching my, you know, reaching into how I really feel and like putting that on paper, essentially. Well, I mean, not actually paper, but yeah, in audio form, right. On the doll. You know, it's just not cool saying that. Yeah, put it on the doll.
Yeah, on the doll. Yeah, you're right. On paper sounds better. Yeah,
you know, it sounds better on paper, like literally.
Yeah. Oh man, well, buddy, I love you, man. It's so good to talk to you.
It's been such a pleasure, man. I thank you again for this platform, and I hope everyone listening or watching is excited as much as I am for the new music and the new projects.
Dude, great fucking talking to you, man. I hope I get to see you in person soon.
Oh, dude. Where are you at right now?
I'm in DC. So I'm on the other side of the country right now.
Nice.
Yeah. But I mean,
I'll call an Uber. I'll be right.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I was the same as you. Pre-pandemic, I was going to LA like every month, every other month. But, you know, we'll see when we get back to that pace.
Well, I find myself on the East Coast pretty often. I was like, you know, I think the farthest east I'll go coming up, I think is like the Carolinas.
Oh, yeah.
Each of those two. So if I have some spare time, I'd like to come out.
Hey, man, if you got extra days, you're more than welcome. Of course. Anytime. And I'll let you know next time I'm in Vegas too. Cause
Vegas or even LA. Like I do go out there pretty often. So who knows? We might just like cross paths.
That'd be great,
Get
man.
some coffee or something.
Yeah, please. But dude, I'll let you go.
We'll just down a whole bottle of wine.
Either one. We'll
relive our past.
We'll see what happens. But dude, I'll let you go. We've been going for a while. I love you, man. It's great to talk to you.
Nah, it's been great, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
it's
man.
Been a blessing.
Absolutely. All right, dude. I'll talk to you
have
soon.
a good one.
Yeah.
See you later.
Peace,
Cheers.
Man.
Let's go.
Bye.